I built a very successful self-storage company in Hong Kong, and then we had a big fire in 2016. I had a personal guilt that I thought my business caused the death of firemen, so I didn't want to do anymore. The death inquiry into the death of the firemen happened, and then found out it was not my fault, it was the fault of the firemen. So that lifted a lot of guilt and burden on my side.
What was that like when you were being chased around by the media?
That was tough, man, because I couldn't say anything. And there's a law in Hong Kong that if I say I'm sorry, that's a reason for the insurance company not to pay because you're mid-guilt already.
So what did you learn from this fire incident?
Don't build the company as if it's never going to fail. Always think of the downside. I didn't cover my behind enough, back in the old days.
And how did you recover from an image branding standpoint coming from that?
The best thing to do is to pretend it's not you, because Hong Kong people are so damn forgetful.
At the start of your business, you had a partner.
He wasn't my partner. He was working for me, man. He was secretly opening a competitive storage right next to mine.
Hello, I'm Aaron Pang, the host of Transformative Purpose podcast. About a few years ago, I started spreading inspirations and positive messages through my books, podcasts, and conversations with inspiring leaders. If you also feel like our world needs more positive energy and you've been inspired by our content, please consider subscribing. Enjoy the next conversation. I would like to thank today's sponsor for this episode, Max Luxury Tea. Over here, you can see 3 of their unique flavors. We have Earl Grey, decaf breakfast, and also cucumber and watermelon tea. What I love about this company is that 100% of their products are biodegradable, from their tea bags, strengths, all the way to their packaging. If you'd like to try their tea, I'll also stick a link in the description so you can order directly from their website. Hello everyone, I'm here with a successful entrepreneur, Kevin Shee. Kevin is the founder and CEO at SC Storage, and between 2012 and 2016, Kevin has built one of the largest mini storage facilities here in Asia. Kevin, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Kevin, I heard a lot of people say that you look like Hidetoshi Nakata.
No, I gained a bit of weight, so I don't look like him anymore.
Do you get a lot of that?
A lot. Yeah, when I was skinnier, yeah.
Yeah,
that's my disguise, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hidden disguise on Tinder. No, I'm just kidding.
For those people who don't know who Nakata is, we'll stick a photo of him, and I would say they do look alike.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess.
I want to ask you, you've had dinner and lunches with so many different people. If there's one person you could have dinner with, alive or dead, who would that person be?
Anybody in the world?
Anybody.
Maybe Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve Jobs is an idol of mine.
Yeah. And why?
He's very innovative, and he knows how to combine technology with arts. And he has a lot of tenacity. He got kicked out of his own company, and then they actually invited him back because he was doing so well. So it's quite a legacy. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. Yeah.
I know you've been through a lot, Kevin. Last time we chatted was a little over 2 years ago.
Was it? Okay.
It was audio. There was no visual.
Okay.
And now you are a successful entrepreneur turned advisor and adventurer.
Yeah.
Tell us about the transition.
Where do I begin? Long story short, I built a very successful self-storage company in Hong Kong. We're the biggest since 2010. We're still the top 3 biggest in Hong Kong right now. But we tried IPO, we failed, we doubled our size. And then we had a big fire in 2016. There's a lot of lawsuits. And besides lawsuits and financial problems, I had a personal guilt that I thought my business caused the death of firemen. So I didn't want to do anymore. I accumulated some wealth. So I decided to just, invest and just travel the world. I was doing that first 2 years, had an amazing time, and then when COVID hit, all the stock markets and bonds plummeted when the U.S. found out they had COVID. I lost my shirt there, and then the death inquiry into the death of the firemen happened, and I found out it was not my fault; it was the fault of the firemen. So that lifted a lot of guilt and burden on my side. And since that I'm not good at investing, then I go back to my old trade of doing storage. But having learned from everything in the past, I take a very lighter side of things. I don't expand my business because of ego. I expand my business, or I started my business because of curiosity to make a better product. How to differentiate from my customers is different. But I still take time to travel the world because I'm not young anymore. I still want to see the world, do crazy stuff while I'm still young before it's too late.
What did guilt look like? You mentioned guilt a few times. What did guilt look like for you?
Guilt look like I designed the storage haphazardly. As a result, the fireman died. But the death inquiry resulted they had a lot of they did not follow a lot of protocol, and they had health conditions. So it was not because of the design of my storage.
And how many years did it take you to overcome that? I know the litigation happened.
It's not the years, it's just the result of the findings of the death inquiry. And the government did not publish a death inquiry until 6 years later. So as soon as they published that, then the guilt was lifted.
Okay, and during those 6 years period, when your guilt was unanswered, how did you navigate that space, like emotionally?
Emotionally. Well, I knew it wasn't all my fault, okay? But no, I just didn't want to do business because I knew this business is the only way you can make more money is raise people's rent or build more sites. And eventually a fire is going to happen again. And I don't want to go through what I've been through, right? I reached financial security a long time ago, and I don't want to build a cage to trap myself. Just show off is so stupid.
I remember we had a chat around about that time when you were dealing with this media crisis. And you shared with me, and I remember went to a pizza restaurant, and you shared with me you couldn't go home at that time.
Yeah. Because they're following me for like 2-3 weeks. They're following my family and everything.
What was that like when you were being chased around by the media?
That was tough, man. That was tough because I couldn't say anything. And there's a law in Hong Kong that if I say I'm sorry, that's a reason for the insurance company not to pay because you're mid-guilt already. But if you don't say you're sorry, imagine like all the people in Hong Kong, regardless if it's your fault or not, imagine the anger, the PR crisis you have. So that's another policy that's the problem in Hong Kong. I think they're working to change that law right now. But back in my days, if you say sorry for whatever reasons, that's the ground, according to my lawyers, to not pay for the claims, which they did not pay at the end. Yeah.
So what did you learn from this fire incident?
Firewall yourself, firewall your company. Think longer, have better contracts, don't sign personal guarantees. Don't build the company as if it's never going to fail. Always think of the downside. I didn't cover my behind enough, back in the old days.
Interesting. I still remember that chat when we went to that pizza restaurant. And
Yeah.
you were making a joke in the passing that it was so bad that you had to ask your friends to buy your underwear. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, because I couldn't go out because everybody recognized me. Yeah, everybody recognized me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it all done now? Like the litigation?
There's still a bit of litigation coming on, but it's I know how much I need to pay max, but it's 80% done. But there's a limit. There's no cap before. There's no cap, and the reason was because the legal fees in Hong Kong are so expensive, right? So like we go on multiple lawsuits for like 10 years. They can rack up so much money, right? So now it's 85% done, and the remaining money you have to pay or settle, whatever. I know how much it is, and I have plans for that. So it's pretty much settled.
And how did you recover from an image branding standpoint, coming from that?
Okay. The best thing to do is to pretend it's not you, because Hong Kong people are so damn forgetful. Okay? If you ask 10 people right now, I think 7 will remember there's a fire, and half of them will not even remember it's your company. That's number 1. Number 2, the death inquiry cleared up our name a lot. And number 3, I don't happen to have a fire every day. It's like, once in a century. So people know it's an accident. Yeah.
Did it, other than yourself, did it also impact your family? And to what extent did it impact your family?
Not as much as you think. Not as much as you think. During those 2 weeks, because there's a lot of people, right? I had friends that were friends with firemen, and we stopped talking to each other because he kind of blamed me, but he wasn't a good friend anyways. Right? And no, he... not as much as that. How do I say? I think financially, I had it covered. It's just that my career stopped, right? And there's so much uncertainty. This is the thing about lawsuits. There's so much uncertainty, and then the other thing is, the whole Hong Kong, the whole Asia, a lot of part Asia has to demolish everything they built and rebuild it. So that was. I'm still in the middle of it. I mean, I had 120 units. Back then, I'm still down to 28. So I rebuilt 75% of it, closed some, right? So it's a long process. That's why I wanted to retire. And then the funny thing is, retiring and investing with a decent return is actually harder than doing storage.
Yeah.
This is my biggest finding. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us more. Huh? Tell us more.
No, I just met a lot of friends that I thought they knew how to invest. And then they were giving all these speech about blah, blah, blah. And the thing about me is, like, if you tell me an investment advice and you stand to gain on it, I would believe you maybe 30%. But if you tell me investment advice, like, I don't know, buy HSBC or whatever, that you don't gain regardless or not. And I see you're doing well. I probably believe you 90%. So I was following them, and I was because of all the legal obligations and fines and everything. I need a lot of cash coming in every month to cover that, right? Until I either close everything or I found a solution. So I was leveraged, and I always thought that by diversification, I can be leveraged and it'll be okay. And for small downfalls, it is, but for like a once in a decade ones, you can't recover from that, right? So that's why like when COVID happened to US, everything around the clock just dropped 35%, right? And I had margin calls and everything. I lost a lot of money. And then, okay, given the maturity level I have now compared to back then, I would have just said, you know what? I'm not risking anything. The potential fines for the next few years is going to reduce my net asset, my net wealth. And I'm okay with that. I'm definitely going to say that now. But back in the old days, I'm like, okay, I need to protect what I have already. I'll take some risk, but I'm not going to lose whatever I have right now, right? And then by doing that, you lose even more. So, yeah.
So like you will have a different baseline now. You wouldn't baseline from your from the highest point.
Yeah.
And then you look at the reality and you will say, okay, this is now my new highest point. Would you say that from a de-risking point of view?
Yeah, I don't mind shrinking my wealth.
Yeah.
Just to protect my ass. Yeah.
So what was wealth to you then, and what is wealth to you now?
When is then? Wealth to me, post-fire, has always been like freedom, youth, health, explore the world, chance, and all that. Prior to that was to be richer than the next guy who's doing self-storage, basically, right? To let people realize what I have, right? Wealth to me now is also freedom, health, whatever, but I like doing storage again. I like doing storage again because I come from a base where what the fire has given me is a barrier to entry. I don't know if you understand that, but I figured out a way to comply with the government, and yet they can't copy me. So it's fun. I've been buying a lot of smaller competitions now because they follow the rule, right? And they go bankrupt. So it's fun. I mean, for me now is I don't make SC storage to make more money per se. That's maybe a byproduct. I make SC storage a very enjoyable place to work, for me at least.
Yeah, I feel like, from the first day I met you till today, I feel like you're always very switched on. You're a problem solver. And just before this conversation, I see you as like a creature of crisis. I don't know whether they're self-made or non-self-made, but you're always in this.
Well, I was born into my dad's financial situation. The IPO was completely self-made. The fire, maybe it's because the way we did things, I don't know, but it wasn't my fault that they died. Okay. Going into investment was a very natural outcome of the problem that I had, right? And yeah, that's it. But every time I try to make it into a better version of myself, or I try to learn something from it. Yeah. Right. So yeah, I love that.
Has anyone ever asked you, what is Kevin's purpose? What is your purpose?
My purpose? What's other people's purpose? like you interview so many people, what would they say? To help others? That's very traditional and old school, man.
Well, I think to live a fulfilled life, there's an element where you need to fulfill your own needs, right? Because like us, we're family. You can't be all outward and serving other people. I think in order for us to serve other people, you got to serve yourself first, right? It's kind of like, you go on a plane, they tell you put on your own oxygen mask first before you put on an oxygen mask for other people. So I think there's partially this one part where, you need to, fill your tank before you can, give to others. I know you're also a philanthropist yourself, and you do a lot of community work. You do a lot of free coaching with young and coming entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Well, okay. I think if you ask me right after the fire, I would say three things. De-stress my life, explore the world, and give back or help the community. Now it's basically still the same three, but more refined in the sense I've reduced so much stress in my work life now. I'm pretty comfortable already. So I'm kind of redesigning my business, in which is very enjoyable. And I'll give you an example of what's enjoyable. Before, like I always say, like no matter how big or how rich I am, if I'm still renting places from landlords, they're gonna raise my rent. I still have to kiss their ass. But now that all my new storage is movable with lockers, recently I have been with a landlord for 10, 12 years. And some guy downstairs offered me 35% off, so I just moved downstairs. And the landlord's come, oh, you know, you're not empathetic. We've been together for so long, you know. You're trying to squeeze me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, these are the exact same line a tenant would have said to me, said to the landlord, right? So the role has been reversed. So again, like it's fun because now that I've redesigned the whole business, that basically I'm in charge. We're also rolling out the second generation of self-move-in storage lockers where everybody would be given like a PIN once they register online, right? So basically we're going manless. So before we were like, oh, please don't go. I give you a raise. Can you leave? Now it's like, oh, you want to go? Oh, bye-bye. So I'm becoming more and more self-sufficient in SC storage where we don't rely on anybody. And it's fun. Yeah. And because my competitors fail to do that, I'm able to buy them. So yeah. So that's okay. That from de-stress my life to make my life and work interesting. From travel the world, I've taken a lot of hobbies. I've taken out piano.
Okay.
And I've been taking out video editing. I mean, it's too damn expensive to hire to bring these freaking video camera people, you know, everywhere I travel. So I was learning to video CapCut. The cheapest way, CapCut.
So what software do you use?
Just CapCut, man. CapCut for now. But those are my two hobbies. So when I do travel, I make interesting videos. And I see an old piano in the middle of nowhere in Iceland or Greenland. I can start playing J. Cho, man. Wow. So that's fun. Yeah. And in terms of giving back, I've been mentoring. I do Starbucks Saturdays every Saturday since 8 years ago. It's really happy that when I see some of the young entrepreneurs I mentor, they're making, like, I would reach to a point where they're so big now, where I say, you know what? I don't think I can teach you anything anymore. You're bigger than me, obviously. And you're a next level. Like, you're beyond me. You need to find a next level of mentor. And it's very happy. It's a very satisfying level for me. And I have also, like, given back to a lot of causes, but I don't like to just give money. I want to like be specific, be impactful. That's measurable, like SMART goals. So we've donated some schools. Hong Kong, like, you give $2-3 million, it's nothing. They don't even build like a room or a conference room. I give like $6,000 or $7,000. I can build a small school in Indonesia. So I build things where it's impactful, right? So it's fun. So it's still the same 3 goals, but it's more refined now. Yeah.
So you mentor so many entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Out of the successful cases, people that you mentored, what would you say are the top 2 to 3 success factors that differentiate the successful ones and the ones that haven't made it?
You just got lucky, man. One of them, they do. I don't know if you know Sam, right? He does event management. So every time Microsoft or all the big companies that have like a conference events, he does the ticketing, the questionnaire, the survey, the tallying. So he has a database of like, I don't know, 30, 40,000 people going to conferences. So COVID hit, they couldn't go to conferences. Bam, he built a virtual conference meetup room and they charge people like 30% off. That's it. Guess how much money you can make from that, right? And then one of the guy that I know, he used to own a Thai restaurant, and then his friend from college was a loan shark. So he just sold the business and just put the money in loan sharking. And there's a lot, like, I don't give them like really, really smart advice. It's just that I just state the obvious that they know. It's like 2 guys, his partner's ripping him off, taking advantage of him. I'm like, screw your partner, start your own, right? It's like sometimes they need that push, you know? Right? Yeah.
I want to go back to why you started mini storage, why you started SC storage.
Okay.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah, sure.
Paying off your debts.
Yeah.
Debt. Can we be 1 o'clock? Can you take us back to, you know, why you started SC storage? How is
Okay. I came back in 1995. My father was in financial crisis. We owed a lot of money to the banks and everything. And I always thought that I could help my dad revive the business. He was in trading. He had a factory in Yaotong, and then didn't work. He was a middleman. He didn't have any strategic advantage. But then the Hong Kong, all the factories were hollowed out. The industrial buildings were vacant. And then I just heard the guy upstairs says, "Hey, why don't we just cut into rooms?" He was doing the same, renting it out to people. So I thought I was going to do that as a part-time business job while looking for a job in the investment banking. Back in the old days, like startup is not popular. Everybody's is an investment banker. So then I rented about 50 or 100 rooms, and then I still had no job. And then I found out this is called self-storage in the West because I was looking at them on the internet. And then I just went full-time on it, and ever since. It was out of necessity because I need to provide for my family, right? It's like my family was in debt, like, I don't know, $250,000, $300,000 a month in bank loans and everything. I can't get a job. I need to like make a lot of money to provide for the family, right? So yeah,
that's a lot of money for a young graduate.
So I can't get a job, right? So they always say like there's two types of entrepreneurs. One is I have a comfortable job. I'm looking for a brighter future, so they're very risk averse. The other type is like, oh, screw it, I have no choice. Let's do it. I think I'm on the latter side.
So you got no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do have a choice. I do have a choice in a sense that if I risk it and I fail, I go bankrupt, I go back to Canada, and I can get a job, and 4 years later, my debts are all wiped out because of the Bankruptcy Act. So always, that's why I always encourage people to get an extra passport for the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So 300,000 down in debt, and you have one piece of asset.
30 million down.
30 million down.
Yeah. $300,000 a month in payments. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you start? You had one factory floor.
Mm-hmm.
You started subdividing the storage.
Changed from the 300,000. I found out that my aunt was married. No, my aunt is a branch manager in HSBC. Officially, they say, "Oh, you have no profit. They won't lend you." Turns out, back in the old days, HSBC branch managers have a lot of power, discretion, would I say? No corruption involved. Maybe some nepotism, I guess. And then she approved. I signed the personal guarantor, co-guarantor for my dad. We extended that loan from Hang Seng. We transferred to HSBC against the property of our house and the factory. So instead, the monthly payment came from 300,000 in 7 years. It became like I think 130,000 in 30 years. So we had to pay back the bank in 30. So late. Yeah, I still couldn't pay back. Then we closed the factory because it was bleeding money. We turned it into self-storage, and that was increasing my income by 6,000 or 7,000 per month. I was making about 60,000 a month, and then we couldn't pay the mortgage for 3 months, and then they were about to foreclose our house, and then 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened, and then Greenspan reduced interest rates suddenly 2.5%. So the monthly mortgage dropped from 120,000 to 70,000.
Okay.
And I was making 75,000. So I had $5,000 in my pocket after everything was spent.
Wow. And how did you scale from zero to $75,000 a month?
Oh, my father had the factory, so I just cut the rooms and rented out to people. Right. So am I a second generation? Kind of, I guess, because my father gave me the factory. But that factory was negative equity. So not only this was zero, I had to pay more debt for my father for other sites as well.
Yeah. But would it be fair to say that during that time, there were also a lot of empty spaces?
Yeah.
People could be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly the best economy. How did you find your customers and scale up?
Okay. This is the thing about storage. If you're full, okay, the economy suddenly had a downturn around 2001. Prior to that, it was the tech bubble, right? So it was pretty good. Okay, so when suddenly came down, I wasn't the first one doing storage. There was about 7 or 8 people doing it, but they weren't advertising it, and they're using their own space. So there's no company doing it, or there's no corporation doing it, right? It was just like small guys. If they're full, and self-storage is very recession resilient, they're not going to reduce their rents, right? They're full, they just keep their rents. But then the whole floor, the whole bedded factory reduced a lot. So just say they're renting out for like $10, right? And then even though there's a recession, they're not reducing their price. But before, the rent was like $6. Now it's like $2 or $3. So I can basically rent for $2.50. I rent it for $5 or $6. I'm pretty much 100% or like I'm 50% or more cheaper than them, right? And then yet they're not going to reduce the rent because they're full. So that's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two, if you open like a big bakery or like a coffee shop on the street and business is good, 6 months later there's going to be like three bakery shop or a coffee shop because everybody's going to copy you. But for storage, everything's locked up. They don't know if I'm doing good, right? So I can secretly scale up my business to a size until it's too late for them to copy me because of my size.
So would you say stay quiet?
Yeah.
You're successful.
Well, again, my Achilles heel, I talk too much. Had I known, all my current competition is from friends and people who heard about my business. But anyways, It is what it is.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can talk about this, but I heard at the start of your business, you had a partner, right?
Yeah.
But it sort of went south.
Oh, you mean
Let's not name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't my partner. He was working for me, man. He's my staff. He was doing my my door signage thing and my website. It went south. It didn't went south. He didn't tell me. He was secretly opening a competitive storage right next to mine. I designed my own ERP software with him. Back in the old days, I was an idiot or uninformed. I didn't know what source code was. So I was paying for the development of this software while he was using it and franchising out to other people. And he was calling the customers in my database, asking them to go to my shop, go to his shop. And also he was basically telling people I was going bankrupt. And then he would like close my, he was pretty ruthless. Yeah. And then it's only until I went to the business registry to find out it was him that was behind it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to find out?
About a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel when you found out?
I feel betrayed. I feel angry because I treat him as a friend. Yeah. If it's other people, like there's a lot of people who did it. Like I had staff that knew I was doing well. He quit his job and then he opened. I'm okay with that, right? Because he wasn't my friend. But this guy's my friend. I mean, if you were to tell me, I would have felt better. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Has that impacted your trust with other people, you feel?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah. Yeah. But that was the most obvious one. But that also helped me in the end because I was hyper competitive back in the days. Again, like I see wealth as, who has the biggest, money or successful because I found the industry. So I was borrowing money from loan sharks just to expand more than them. So he opened 2, I opened 2. He opened 3, I opened 3.
Right. So you're racing with him.
Yeah. And then like 4 years later, I found out they're all franchises while I was like hyper leveraged. But luckily it paid off. Yeah. So in hindsight, I have to thank him because I was single back then. I was making a shitload of money. Like I wouldn't be so competitive. I wouldn't open so many storage had I realized it was franchise or had I not been so competitive. Yeah.
Any advice to the younger generation when it comes to cash flow management, wealth, or whether they should buy? We in Hong Kong, and a lot of our older generation like to tell us that we should own a property. What's your view on that?
Are you going to stay in Hong Kong though? That's the question because now the business is so online now. Do you need to stay in Hong Kong? I mean, I know friends that just stay in Greater Bay Area, just come to Hong Kong, I don't know, a week, a month, and just all the meeting is just stuff in that week. And nobody even know they don't even live in Hong Kong. And they live in Jew, or you could be 1/3, or Chiang Mai, right? So the number one question is, do you need to stay in Hong Kong? And number two is, right now the policy is not favorable for real estate in a sense that Hong Kong government is really pushing hard to make like property available for everybody. They keep on building all these supply in spite of it. I don't really think interest rates going to come down much further because of the world conflict war and then the decoupling of China. So is buying a property a good investment? I don't think so. I mean, if you want to stay in Hong Kong next 10 years and that's your primary house, yes. But for additional investments, wait till you see Hong Kong's population much surpass like 8 million, then you decide. That's number one. In terms of cash flow, bootstrap, don't overspend, don't give away shares. Shares is the most expensive type of money you can use, especially if you want to go further. I would say, and people would give me a lot of criticism on this one, is if you're scaling up, anything that's against your favor, don't sign a contract. You say this declaration is $500,000, 300,000. Okay, we're brothers. No need to sign contract. Anything you have to pay, don't sign contract. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When the shit hits the fan and you need to pay everybody, then you have an option to delay what you're paying Nick later. It sounds very bad, but it's a self-protective mechanism. I'm not saying for you to scam the guy and not pay him, but you don't want to have like legal losses all around you at the same time, right?
So you mentioned that you're trying to make some of your storage facilities as manless, peopleless as possible. How do you see AI, and what skills do you think people should invest in?
Oh, AI is going to be the big divider. Knowing how to use AI now and not knowing how to use AI is the equivalent of buying a house or not buying a house 20 years ago. You see it compound. I tell my kids, you don't have to go to university. You can learn almost everything on YouTube. But one thing you have to master is AI, because that's gonna that's gonna double or triple or 10 times what your efficiency is. AI right now is in our industry is to save a lot of costs, like call center and all that. But we still need a lot of investment. But it's also a lot of the revenue management. We can predict which person can store forever. We can raise their rent, which is going to leave. It's a lot of forecasting is very impactful.
Kevin, the Kevin that I know, you're an innovative guy, very creative, and you always come up with out of the box solutions.
How you know? Like example?
Well, the app advertisements that you used to put up in, on bicycles and in light poles, and I heard you share that in one of your speeches.
Yeah.
How do you come up with all these creative solutions? And like, if there was the sort of Steve Jobs,
That's
Steve Jobs
pretty
solution.
far from Steve Jobs, man. Think about it.
if there's a solution, if there's an innovative solution that you've solved, that you feel like, that's probably at the Steve Jobs level.
No, you can't. The guy impacted the world, man. Yeah. I mean, this is very minor. This is very local, Yeah.
But I kind of wanted you to maybe touch on a couple of examples of how you've sort of solved difficult problems. Out of the box solution. I know you've got tons in your head, but just share a couple of examples how you've solved different business problems or even personal problems. If you feel like the listeners can kind of take away and apply in their life.
One thing I do is I listen, not just to you, but for everybody, and I remember. And I put the puzzles together. A good example is a lot of our sites has to be demolished now and make it into new fire regulation safety. And we actually gave a proposal to the fire department about last year, a year and a half ago. And then we said, about a year ago, right? And we said, hey, we have a plan to demolish all these sites one a month. Can we fulfill this? And you not persecute us and fine us anymore? And they officially sent us a letter saying, no, we have to continue to fine you. You should demolish them as soon as possible. But and I didn't stumble upon this because of my creativity. I watched the actual court case of my court case, and then we found out that the prosecution department of the fire department and like the guy who goes to court and the guy who catches us and capture the evidence, they don't talk to each other. So the judge came up and says, hey, you haven't demolished the site. What's your excuse? And Your Honor, last year we gave a proposal to the fire department saying we're going to demolish one site at a time. That's all I said. And the next thing says, up till now, we have fulfilled our promise to this. And the judge asked the prosecution guy, did you guys receive a letter from SC Storage? He says, yes. And I go, did he demolish all these sites? He says, yes. And we close it at that. The guy was not unaware or ignorant enough or not speak up to say, but we rejected his proposal. He didn't say that. So the judge assumed that we made a compromise and we fulfilled. Oh, in that case, we'll just reduce your sentence by 40%. So we've been doing this trick every time that we go to court. And not only for the fire department, but for the buildings department, the electricity department, everything. They don't talk to each other. So I'm very observant about these things. Yeah. Is that out of the box for you?
Yeah, very, very much. So you mentioned about listening. You're very good at listening, remembering what people say.
Yeah.
How do you choose who to listen to? You're in this very convoluted process in a lawsuit, litigation that you've never been in before, and noises, opinions flying over. Like how do you decide to whom do I listen to?
I test them out. Like I have a ranking of people who are reliable, who are not.
Okay.
If the guy just said something and then I would measure it, and like 6 months later, whatever he said didn't turn out to be true. And another thing that I would take a huge grain of salt is, does he have benefit by me listening to his advice? Right? If whatever he says that he gains the profit from it, then that's at least a 50% discount. Right? Yeah. And how I usually is they don't. It's not that they give me advice. It's just it's like I see this phenomenon where this guy doesn't know that they rejected me, and then I ask somebody who used to be in the fire department, and the fire department is so big they don't talk to each other. Yeah, it's like that.
And how do you deal with stress?
I don't have stress that much anymore.
Did you have stress?
Of course. During the fire, you break down your problems and you break them into, okay, first of all, enough sleep, enough exercise. That's the prerequisite. Number 2 is you write out your problems, you break them down into small, actionable, solvable milestones. And every time you solve a milestone, you celebrate it with your team. So yeah, I haven't solved all my problems. It's going to be new problems coming up. But no, you just take it easy.
You have a very loyal, because I visited your company many times, and I feel like you've built a very loyal workforce too. Like people who work with you, they've been with your business for 20 years plus.
And I don't pay them very much either.
Yeah, they're still loyal. They're loyal and they're happy when I see you guys having your team meeting together. How do you do it? How do you engage your teams?
Well, I give them freedom to try things new. So it's not me telling them what to do. I give them the freedom to try, and I award them if their new freedom trying is okay. I don't pay them very much, but I do give them a lot of free time. So if suddenly, like in the afternoon, they want to take a Friday off doing something personal, I'm okay with that as long as they're reachable. And also, I think there's a cause because they've been with me for so long, and they've been affiliated with the brand for so long. They want to see us rise again because they've seen me being betrayed by my friend, doing their storage. They've seen me trying to IPO and failed. They've seen us double our size and then the fire. So we've been through a lot of ups and downs together. And when you've been through a lot with each other, you feel a bonding like a family. But still, I always say, like, as close as we are as a family, this is a car or a train. If any part of the vehicle doesn't move, then we have to remove it.
If your life is like a movie, which movie would it be?
Whenever Andy Lau stars in it. No. Which movie would it be? Yeah. I don't know. I'm still writing my own. If there's a movie out there already, then I can't sell my script yet, man.
So in the last few years, you've been to a lot of interesting places. There was one video I saw you went to, it's not even cultural sense, actually cultural appropriate to say this, but I saw you went to really exotic places. There was one place you even jumped into a tank. So out of all the places, countries that you have been to, what has been the most memorable for you?
There's a lot. Okay, that one was pretty good. That was good. I don't think I can do it again for the next long time. That was Trans-Siberian Rail across Russia in the winter. So we took a train from St. Petersburg, and 3 weeks we went to Beijing, across Siberia. So in Moscow, we stopped by, we paid some old retiring military, we drove a tank, we threw a grenade. That was very fun. That was very memorable because it was 3 weeks. Then we stayed on the train, and that was during the 2019 riot. So that was pretty good. Me flying one-way ticket to Europe during COVID, didn't know where to go. Based on that website, where can I go next? Because all the border opens and shuts. So I was going everywhere, depending where I could go. And then I went to Lisbon, and then I Ubered to Algarve, and then I rented a what do you call those scooter? What do you call those scooter? Not scooter. Those I don't know.
Moped.
And then I drove around from town to town to town to town, all across southern southern Portugal. That was very fun. Yeah. Those are like, I honestly, like, I hate to say it, but I really kind of enjoy Vega. Like we call it, Tim Ferriss called it Vagabonding. Yeah, it means you go by yourself, right? And it's bad enough that I'm going on a trip by going by myself without my family. That's like really disrespect. So I'm really looking forward to those trips again. Yeah. So those are fun. Those are like those either with really good companies, or just going by yourself and trying new stuff. Like I was on a fighter's pilot in Portugal, and we did like a 360 upside down. We're driving like this, right? So those are fun.
Yeah. Any surprises? What was the biggest lesson you learned, I think, from all these trips?
The last 10 years, I've lost so much money, but then storage is very resilient, so I made most of my money back. So basically, discarding inflation, I'm flat. If not, maybe a little bit down, right? Doesn't affect my lifestyle. I was just thinking about this. Had I not been traveling so much and just focused 100% on my business, looking back, I had nothing to show off because it's just extra money, extra zero in the account. And that's a big if, because the demolishing of all my sites and the lawsuit is such a big question mark in the air. If I succeeded, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. If I fail, it's an extra, I don't know, cost me maybe 20% of my wealth and all that. And it's crazy to just sit here to prove to everybody and just wasted my youth. I mean, I'm not young anymore, right? But now looking back, no matter how much money I give back to the lawsuit and settlement or whether, my business do well or not, looking back, look at all the trips I've been and all the things I've done, right? And there's no regrets, man, right? Absolutely no regrets. Yeah, those are the best decisions I made.
Yeah. And what would you say, Kevin's advice to your younger self, like your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s?
Don't hire that guy to make the ERP, man.
Actually, how do you get over when someone sort of crosses you? Like say,
I lower my bar a lot already. So I forgive most people. I have a habit actually.
Yeah.
I have a habit is every Chinese New Year, I would call one person up that I don't like.
I'm glad you haven't called me yet.
You're much higher on the list. I don't like you that much, but you're much higher on the list. But I try to make friends with that guy. But I know there's at least 2 or 3 guys out, can never amend, right? But I try to reduce because it takes a lot of negative energy. Like you don't like somebody or you're always right. So you try to forgive as many person as you can. But then again, there's also part of argument is you need to show your character. You cannot be friends with everybody. If you're friends with everybody, then that means you're spineless.
Yep.
Right? You don't have a character, right? So I stand for something, and there's just some people I would not get along with, right? So yeah. So anything else I'll say to my younger self? Don't be ADD. Let me look at contracts. Look long term. Don't. The only reason people don't betray you is they haven't had an opportunity to betray you yet. I think honestly, like to say it badly is try not to be in a position where you have to trust anybody. We always have a famous saying is doing business is about trust, but it's better that you trust me and I never have to trust you. So yeah, because you look back, it's a lot of betrayals and all that, right? If you position yourself to be like that, right? But also be a person that where people can trust you. Yeah.
But if we don't trust first, does that always make us feel very insecure?
No, that makes you very secure. That means you're invincible. A great mentor once said to me once, you do business, you fail, you slow down, you fail. Like, okay, you do business, you make money and then start going down and you systematically, just close the business. It's not failing. You just make the money while you can and then the market change and then you're out for a new thing. That's not failing. Failing is you go bankrupt. Failing is you lose your life savings. That's called failing, right? And there's only 2 ways you can lose your shirt in business. One is trusting the wrong person or the wrong system. The other one is over leverage. Those are the only 2 reasons. Otherwise, if the business economy goes bad, you just systematically close down, you're okay. So by not trusting anybody, you close one potential door already.
So many people have pitched or share their business ideas with you. When you meet entrepreneurs, how would you decide whether it's a good idea or bad business idea?
Okay, a lot of the young people, they do business not because of actual needs in the world. They do business because of their community or their surroundings or their friends. Just because they wanted it, they think the whole market wants it. That's number one. And number two is they always try to build something that's very innovative and it can't scale. It can't scale until it reaches critical mass. That takes a lot of money, right? It's just like, oh, I want to do a platform. Why the hell? How can you get enough people to go on your platform? Why don't you just form a Facebook group, right? Right? And some of them would just scam you with cryptos and all that, right?
Yeah. In your darkest moment when you feel helpless, or when you're betrayed by your friend, you fail IPO, took you 6 years for...
It's completely different. Every incident was different. When I failed my IPO, it was a big relief because every day I was paying money for some shit. It was a big relief.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't feel bad because it was a big I was paying this guy, paying that guy, paying this fine, paying lawyer, non-stop, and then... It's just, okay, it's irreversible now, so, no more pain. If I feel betrayed by my friend, I felt somebody stabbed me in the back. And not only that, but over all these years, he brags about it. We fought for that license plate storage. Yeah, he outbid me in storage, he's just a flamboyant. He tells about everybody that I copied him. It's just the fact that of his character, he's not a very smart guy and yet he always show off. And now as I get more mature, I would say is 60% angry of being betrayed, but also 40% of feeling jealous because he's so damn big, despite the fact that his guy's money is over leveraged. You're working with the funds, you're going to get in trouble. But as I understand myself better, it's a bit of jealousy as well.
You mentioned about every Chinese New Year, you will call somebody that you don't like, and you will try to make friends with them.
Yeah. And I beat them up. No, just kidding.
Are these people you used to hate or just you don't like?
No, they betray me also.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about forgiveness.
Yeah.
So how do you forgive?
Hey, how you doing? And let bygones be bygones, law. Come out for a drink, bro. But usually it just ends up with like, hi, bye, how are you? We're not gonna be friends again. But it's not gonna be like I'm not gonna talk bad about them. And if we come out in a big group setting, I'm not gonna leave or walk away or yeah.
So this ERP guy, where is he on your list? Would you ever call him one day?
He is probably on the list where if he's falling off a cliff, I would really resist stepping on his fingers.
Right. Okay.
Before there's no doubt I would step on his fingers.
Okay.
Now I'm trying not to step on his fingers.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he did help me a lot. Not on his will. Okay. When he copied me, honestly, if you look closely, it was a different mix. In terms of storage mix. I was offering like a medium size to big size storage back then. He was offering medium to small size. So 70% of the actual customer type were not competing anyways. And that was the rising era of storage, in which if I were doing commercials by myself, the market doesn't really aware of that product. But versus him and us on TV every day really generated a new demand for this business. That's number one. Number two is after the fire, he forked out $5 million to fight the government with a judicial review, which I just ride on a coattail for free. So when the government came up to me, hey, how come you're not demolishing things? Oh, because my competitor is filing a judicial review. The result has not been out yet. Had I removed everything, now it's not fair for me in case he won. So he paid everything and I ride on his coattail, right? So I've taken every advantage I can off him, but I still try not to beat him up when I see him if it's legal.
Yeah. Kevin, I ask all my guests to ask our audience one question that you like to ask them to reflect. So given the opportunity, what's that one question you like to ask our listeners? Let me give some context. The people who are watching this conversation right now are interested in you. Yeah. They are interested in your journey in entrepreneurship and how you successfully build your company from one person to one of the biggest mini storage facilities in Asia, right? Yeah. And you've been through lots of ups and downs. And to be honest, I think for an ordinary person, I think it's very unlikely that we'll face the same crises that you faced. You
could just, I quit, man, right? It's like right? Hong Kong law is what the employee is only responsible for $300, I think.
Yeah. Look, let's say, okay, let me make it easier for you, okay? Let's say in front of you there is the 80-year-old Kevin Shee.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be his last day.
Yeah.
right? What's that one question you want to ask Kevin Shee when he's 80?
I told you to do stem cell therapy. Why the fuck did you do it, man? You'd have been at least 100 by then. That would have been my question.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been great honor to have you here.
So I don't get to ask my question now?
Well, you can still ask another one if you have another one.
Okay. There's 4 companies. I asked this 10 years ago and everybody gets wrong. So I'm asking now again. 4 companies. Meta, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. One of them 10 years later is going to go bankrupt. Which one and why? 10 years ago, I asked everybody. Everybody thought it was Facebook. Look at Facebook. It's one of the best right now, and Google is in trouble. So it's very deep thinking question about technology, the trends coming.
Do you have the answer?
I had the answer last time. I was wrong.
Great, Kevin. Such an honor to have you today.
Right.
Had a ton of fun.
Yep.
And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. All right. Thank you.